I'm going to finish this beautiful credenza in a 3-color glaze finish using Ralph Lauren's latex water-based glaze. I'm using 3 colors. My mid-tone I start off with is burnt sienna. I'm going to cover the entire piece with it. And the reason I'm choosing a glaze rather than a paint is I want to see that natural wood grain showing through. So it acts like a stain, but unlike a stain, it gives me the freedom to pull off the glaze, leaving a light tint, and it's thick enough that it will lay on the piece in a nice collecting in the corners and allowing me to leave it thicker in areas where, around the edging, where I really do want a heavier coating of that color, yet it's never blocking that beautiful wood grain. So that's why I'm choosing glaze. Also, using 3 colors, I just have more control with glaze than you would if you used a stain. I'm going to come in with a second coat with the same burnt sienna, and I'm going to just darken those corners. And I'm really rubbing it in there good so it's feathered out, not leaving a harsh line separate from the corner to the, as it lightens to the center of the piece. And I'm doing that with cheesecloth. When that's complete, I'm ready to come in with my darkest glaze, which is raw umber. I'm coming in and basically antiquing it. I'm filling all the deep grooves with that dark, rich color. And I'm using a cheesecloth just to smooth it out, but I'm really leaving it in heavy and solid and pulling it off more on the surfaced areas. I'm going to finish my raw umber by darkening the corners. Give it a nice added effect. And then I'm going to come in with my highlight. I'm taking my nice cream and I'm just touching the reliefed or raised surfaces. I am going to thin it with a wet paper towel. So I'm getting it on and just kind of sharpening it up. And you'll see I do that by just basically wiping off any of the thick areas in one smooth stroke with that wet paper towel. And that just gives it nice sharpening. I saved the top of the bureau for last. I'm watering down the glaze, and that's the reason I saved it for last. With the size of this top being so much bigger than those small areas that I could control better. I really needed this water down, and I'm going to work it a little bit harder. I just don't want there to be seams where I am starting and stopping each little section that I'm working. And when you use big areas like this, you don't want sharp, definitive start and stop areas. You can see I'm using a jaggedy edges, almost like a puzzle piece, and that helps me hide any areas that overlap, and it might be a little darker. It looks like wood graining, and it just works more organically with the wood. So again, like the other areas, I'm just coming in now with my darkest color and I'm antiquing it. I'm deepening the crease area and wiping off the relief, but I'm also going to come in, darken those corners with that raw umber, and I'm also going to bring it around to the top. I'm really going to concentrate just around the edges, the sides, I just want this piece to have a sense of antiquity and just look really authentic, like it really just aged that way. When I'm done with that, I come in with my final touch, the highlight. Again, just cutting that little brush stroke smooth with a wet paper towel so it's not thick and glumpy. Get it on there and then sharpen it up. Now, what I've not shown you is throughout this entire procedure, I have been working in a matching mirror that goes with this credenza, and it's completely dry and ready for silver leafing. So I'm coming in with my raw umber, and I'm just basically painting it on and leaving it on full strain on all the relief decorative areas. Now when this dries, I'm going to come in with my size. Size is similar to a polyurethane in the look and the application and the feel of it. This is for the silver leaf. So I'm going to brush it on all those decorative areas. Now it's also worth noting, and I did not show you this, is I'm also doing a nice thin, that decorative base to the credenza. So I've worked that in also. The silver leaf comes in nice, perfect composite squares. The size on the credenza is set up and ready to receive the leaf. I gently place the silver leaf on the size decorative areas and pat it down with a cheesecloth. I pull off the excess and just keep reusing it around the entire length of that decorative strip until I'm done. Leaf is so fragile, it's worth noting that I'm not burnishing it on with the cheesecloth. At this point, I am simply gently patting it on, and I'm going to let it sit and set up further. So I touch the size to make sure that it's set up. It feels dry, but it's soft. You don't want it wet that it's not set up enough, but you don't want it so dried so hard that it's not going to receive the leaf. While I'm using a cheesecloth to press on my leaf, you can also use a soft, fluffy brush, and that actually works better for flat surfaces. but being this is so curvy and decorative, I just personally prefer the cheesecloth for this application. I allowed the leaf to set up overnight, and immediately the next morning I started burnishing it with a soft cheesecloth, and now I'm just cleaning it up and further burnishing it with a toothbrush, which will knock out all those little loose flaky edges. I give it a final dusting, and then I start my antiquing using raw umber glaze. When that dries, it's time for sealant. I'm using polyacrylic by Minwax. This is a water-based product, and it's one of my favorite top coats. It leaves such a beautiful luster in this satin sheen. They do have a high gloss, and it's just too shiny for me. So I do prefer this satin. I always apply my top coat with a brush so I can stroke the top coat back and forth, working it into the wood. I want it to penetrate and also work out all the bubbles, because there will be bubbles, and that's a problem. If you roll it on, the bubbles remain, and it just ruins your finish. This also dries very quickly, being water-based. So by the time I finished top coating everything, the original where I started was already dry, and that allowed me to install all the hardware.